Alright, so I've been going over recently the wordplay with the Egyptian mythology. The book is by Peter Ham and not just Pharnica Ions, for the record. Boobastis, okay? Booby says, boob sis, boob a stays, and you can get all kinds of interesting wordplay from it. I'm not satisfied with any of that so far, but it is important that I point this out. That Boobastis was a cult center at some point, and it has to do with Bast. And Bast had to do with agility and so on. And there's Fry's Electronics in San Jose, and there's a lot of interesting Egyptian art and variations and statues that they've had for quite some time. And ironically, the light is messing up my brain and my eyes and the photophobia. And I'm trying really hard to find ways to address it other than just dimming the videos. I bought certain glasses from Fry's, that's why I was there during the holidays, and today is New Year's Eve 2017. I'm not big on holidays or the Gregorian calendar and the wordplay that is involved, but listen to this video carefully, there's a lot of good stuff for you. Okay, so of course women in their best form is the Catwoman, right? If a woman thinks like a martial artist, this is a martial arts war on the highest level of being. A tactician is a martial artist. The natural born leaders are martial artists. The Sith, so to speak, on the enemy side is full of martial arts philosophy. Sith being set to do the wordplay. The vowels are interchangeable again, and Hebrew has no vowels, according to the sources I've come across. So it is Latin roots. Think about Tombstone the movie, where Johnny Ringo, one ring to rule them all. Reproduction, right? One reproductive bloodline ring cycle, including that is exclusive to rule over the humanity. Doc Holliday talking about hypocrisy on his deathbed, and they were wearing red sash, red being the color of the principle of evil in Egyptian mythology, especially from the Greco-Roman perspective. Again, I'd like to stress that I'm not racist, and this stuff needs to be known. I would like my credit for my work, but first and foremost, I would like the message to get out. I do believe I'm the top martial artist, and I've bent over backwards since 2012 to prove it. And certainly, I gave the opposition view all the opportunity in the world to prove it, but they're too concerned with the Nazi kind of thunderbolt, Roman eagle, Nazi eagle, American eagle, 10 tables of Rome, eugenic, American eugenic, occult, cycle of reproduction, O being the sun, sex cult, okay, and so on, oh kill, and the other wordplay involved in it to give me my rightful place. And ultimately, when I look back at where I used to live, the different addresses, the different people in my life, there's a lot of wordplay. A lot of people were dropping subtle hints. There's a lot of this stuff in the gangs world that I hung out with, and people basically their whole lives have been trying to put me beneath them. I live in Morgan Hill. Think of Morgan Le Fay from Camelot, right? Camelot. Think of the Sandman in Marvel, the Sandman, Camelot, the Sandman in that Van Damme movie where he goes to prison, where the prison guards harass the women. And there's a lot of things in this that makes a man such as myself want to logically kill somebody. And I'm not saying that's how I feel, but if you look at the logical effect it would have on someone, and you look at the cause, the underlying cause, the root cause, the root of the tree, your roots, root rock reggae or whatever, and so on. Okay, it's very plain to see what they expect from all this and how they lead us astray. So, the fertility was also controlled by Bast and Bubastis. Also later on, rather before that in the 5th dynasty, the main chief priest of Ra, the head priest of Ra, married his wife, and in the image and spirit of Ra had sex with her and had 3 children, which were said to be the pharaohs, the first pharaohs of the 5th dynasty in the book by Peter Ham. Okay, so Num is important in this, and his location was by Elephantine, right? Sates, and she has, Satet and other variations of her name, which are full of wordplay. One wordplay this is interesting is the Uaeus scepter, and I'll get into that later, or maybe in the next video, because I'm kind of running out of time, and I'm still on the first page. So let's just shoot through this, shall we? Take notes, watch it again, but by all means, don't be stupid enough to think that a brain surgeon's son with 175 around IQ logically is making this shit up, okay? So the lowest I've ever scored on an IQ test is 132. If you think I'm a fucking idiot or delusional, ask yourself why I'm smarter than most people when the average IQ is something like 80 or something. I mean, come on. You have to listen to what I say. You have to consider that they hid from my top martial artist challenge like a bitch, and I'm the son of two doctors, one's a brain surgeon. So don't give me that social norm bitch shit, which has been used to oppress the minorities and the marginalized people around the world for fucking hundreds and hundreds of years. Don't take that route. Don't take that route. Anyway, so you look at monk, right? A monk, a monkey, a man key. I think I've gone over that before. Um, Happy, the Nile god, the bull, one of the bulls. Remember, Serapis was a bull. If for nothing else, the imagery of the bull in popular culture as being Satan, and Serapis being Osiris and Apis, and compared to Hades and being Apis being the bull. It makes it clear, Happy, take off the H, you get AP, add an S, Apis, right? Happy lived in Biggie, think Biggie Smalls, okay, and is Lord and flowed through the underworld, identified with Nun being the primordial waters. So the system is more to do with Egypt and Babylon, because despite popular opinion, Egyptian mythology predates Sumer and Babylon. It goes back tens of thousands of years into Africa. Cults control money, women, and behavior in many cultural ways. So when you look at the difference between the Africans studying the animals and their martial arts culture and how this is pervasive in African culture, it is important. I would like to ask you at this point several questions. What does it mean to be uncontrolled? What is the philosophy or philosophies of the state or the people pulling the strings? What does it take to stand on your own 10 toes? Okay, on your own 10 toes, right? To be able to defend yourself. This is a martial art war. Think about it. How far do you have to be willing to go to affect change as uncontrolled opposition? What will they do to stop you in a worst case scenario? What will you do if you lose your gun rights and you are attacked in the parking lot or on your way home? What will you do if gang members or a group of thugs confront you? Now, why is the black African not allowed to practice his martial arts in their true form and challenge others? Now, this goes back to the book Fighting for Honor by T.J. Dush-Obi, a professor, also an intellectual. To not consider his point of view is stupidity. To think that him or myself or anyone else has everything 100% right is also stupidity. Do your own research and know that I promise you I'm doing the best I can to tell you the truth about everything to the best of my abilities, even when it makes me look bad. So why do some people get this far and not see that it takes a martial artist to take on the state as uncontrolled opposition? As a result of an unspoken rule that you cannot be uncontrolled, they tend to provoke the uncontrolled to go further, neutralize those types, and play G.I. Joe. Okay? What does this mean for your wives and daughters? About money, women. Okay, so they make this about money, women, genocide, family, God. They make it personal, about image, martial arts, tradition, manhood, culture, forced drugging, freedom, pride, ancestors, spirit, honor, respect, and more. So perhaps I shouldn't have said that, but let's keep it going because it kind of took up time. So Usar, right? Razor, right? Ra and Usar being Osiris together is Rasar or Razor or Raise Our. So there's a lot of adding the names together. Remember in the Bible it says, you shall not put any God before me. You will have no other gods than me. This is an argument that played out in Egypt. Joseph was in Egypt. Moses and the Jews were in Egypt. Abraham to Egypt and so on. Jesus was said to be in Egypt at some point and to learn the laws. Okay, and of course he spent time wandering through the wilderness. So just like the Egyptians, he studied nature and explained things in terms of nature and in terms of farming, just like the inundation of the Nile. Okay, how can you be a farmer in that area and not understand that? Okay, and of course there was the Wadi of Egypt where some of the groups of the Jews. Okay, so rust is justice, rake, gemra, joke, rake. Okay, going on. So the bloodline of Jesus and their arguments make it clear. The Da Vinci Code, science versus religion. Obviously, science is winning, and science is used to twist religion and to remove the martial arts perspective. Remember, the part of what Osiris, Horus, and Set and Isis, their story, and one of the probably the most famous story in Egyptian mythology was about the ascension of the throne and who gets it, Horus versus Set. All the virgins of Horus, Harwer, Harosiris, Harpocrates, I believe it was, And Ra Haraketi, every version of Horus includes, or Haru, includes a martial arts emphasis, a warrior emphasis pertaining to the spirit. Okay, so the eyes are the window of the soul, the eye of Horus, the eye of Ra, right? Who gets the eye of Ra, which became the eye of Horus, which is the eye of providence on the dollar bill. Okay, providence. There's wordplay there as well. Provide on Ka is one of them. Okay, provide Ankh, A, and so on. Okay, so Taekwondo, take window. Okay, Kung Fu, you had Khan's Hor. Khan Su is another one of his names. He Khan's you. And he was worshipped later on by the Greco-Romans, the mysteries. What I refer to in Illuminati Part 1, 2009, the white man's twist. I'm not racist, okay? So Khan Fu is pronounced Kung Fu. Kung Fu. So it comes from Khans. And the Fu, from what I gather at this point, is from Edfu, which was there by the Greco-Romans, the temple of Edfu, and they claim that that Horus came down from the Mediterranean or from Libya, when it really came up from Nekhen, and that's what the Narmer palette is about, where you have the hawk without the snake on the head. And you have in the early dynasty a Jet in the book, D-J-E-T, I believe, and his Royal Stella or Cartouche or whatever it was, where he also has this, doesn't have the snake on him, he has the snake in a box under his feet. Okay, so Khan, add the Fu. Khan Fu. So add Fu, Khan's Hor, Khan Fu. Okay. And of course you can imagine this puts me at odds with everyone and their mom, and you'd be an idiot to think I'm making this stuff up. So the 322, skull and bones, right? 3 plus 2 plus 2 equals 7. So to replace the perfect 7 by using science to fabricate the evidence, the Berzelius Society, the chemists, okay, the scrolling key, controlling the perspective of religion, the wolf's head, the wolf, the symbol of Rome, wolf as upayat, the opener of ways, right? This guy has the keys to the door and the keys to the different ways that you can go with it, the martial ways, if you will, from the ancient Egyptian and African paradigm. All right, so the Pope, Apep, the great fisherman. But I caution you on using the wordplay alone to understand what is going on. The Catholics opposed eugenics. The Protestants and their allies were silent and were the main people pushing it using the mysteries. So it seems that in every mainstream perspective, especially from the West, you have a satanic perspective where they like to blame the other faction to subtly give themselves more power and more pussy, and to guide, you know, the problem solution going both ways and 3 ways and more ways than one, so to speak. Okay, so the cycle, right? Psych out the victim. You know, I put a question mark here. Not quite, satisfied with that. Moving on. Name rod, name door, Herod, Herat. Okay, so Nimrod, name rod, right? And of course, you put the rod backwards, it's door. Okay, so the phallic symbol and the door, you know, the keys to the door, and there's you can talk about sex, right? Pillars, phallic symbols, the phallus, the obelisk, right? OB all ask. I talk about the Ben stone, Beni Hassan, the Beni bird, the phoenix rising from the ashes. Okay, man will return to the dust, and it shines the light on the Ben stone. Okay, and of course it ends in a pyramidal top. I go over this in my other videos. Okay, so ghetto means get-o, right? Reno, no. Of course, there's a lot of wordplay, especially in Vegas and in the different criminal societies that run society behind the scenes, the different steps you take to become a Satanist, basic kind of purse snatcher, thug, gang member, prison gangs, organized crime, occultists that run the organized crime, and so on, all the way up to the royal family with their dragon and roaring lion symbolism. Amut himself is an earlier version of the spirit, some kind of a serpent spirit with 2 heads that is in the 6th province in the underworld, that has the 4 canopic jars, the 4 sons of Horus on his back, and he's an invisible spirit, and that is a part of it. Ra's journey is a major part of this as well, and which perspective, which of the 12 hours that you're in. Okay, so I'll continue this in part 2. That is part 1. I'll end by saying this is a cute little one. Diaper. Diaper backwards is repaid. I'll let you figure out why that is. Thank you.